The women craving for is this Rose's good side?
Welcome everyone to our session. Just to get you in the mood, we've got a very short video to play for you.
The first idea about going across the Melbourne was 2 years ago when I met somebody who cycled it, and it was just a seed planted in the back of my mind that maybe this was a challenge to do in the future. We just came up with the idea, well, okay, let's have a purpose. And it's not going to be a holiday, but we do enjoy cycling, and we'll do it for that purpose.
Two Tasmanians are preparing to ride a tandem bicycle from Perth, WA, all the way to Adelaide.
Thanks to you, we are closer than ever to ending polio. We have reduced cases by 99.9% since 1988. And with our partners, we've immunised more than 2.5 billion children worldwide. To end polio for good, we need to reach every single child in Afghanistan and Pakistan and protect the progress made in polio-free parts of the world. Eradicating polio is an achievable goal that will be known as one of the greatest achievements in history.
End polio now is Rotary International's #1 priority. The public image team is responsible for highlighting Rotary's role in eradicating polio once and for all.
I wouldn't ride anywhere, certainly not across the Nullarbor. Phil and Joyce might be crazy in some people's estimation, but I think that it's a great effort and a sacrifice for both of them.
As a doctor, I was aware that polio was a disease which could have the potential to be totally eradicated.
We were going to have our second booster for COVID, and it just occurred to me that we have so many choices. that we can choose to have a vaccine or we can't. When we look at the countries that have still got polio, it occurs to me that they don't have any choices. There are still people who haven't been vaccinated. Let's vaccinate as many people as we can in the world.
Here in Launceston, we dreamed up this fundraising, harebrained fundraising scheme. We hope that with the help of the Bill Gates Foundation, matching our contributions, doubling our contributions, that we might get this over the line.
It's actually been a project that's really taken off, hasn't it? The district, as you can see, are right behind it. We're right behind it, and it's just been a tremendous thing, and it's giving in polio a tremendous amount of publicity.
Just the enthusiasm that we've had, it's just been amazing. We thought we'd set off and raise, a few dollars and do something that would shut Phil up for his challenge and keep me happy in terms of raising a few dollars. So thank you, everybody who's been so supportive.
So once we set off from Perth, we'll have accommodation for the first 2 or 3 nights. We then, after the first week, get to Kalgoorlie. And then after that, there's a big gap before we get to South Australia and the next Rotary clubs.
Yesterday was a very grueling day, 160 kilometres, because one of the roadhouses was shut, and we are now at Mandurah, hoping to set off soon towards Euclid very soon.
In quick succession, we go to Port Augusta, Port Pirie, Clare, Gawler. I think that Joyce and I felt that this fundraiser needed to be done because society's kind of taken its eye off the ball. There's a war going on in Europe, there are floods, there are bushfires, but we just need to get this over the line so it's finished forever.
Look, I just plead with everyone, donate, because for $1 a child can be vaccinated. So if you donate and help with the push, we'll soon be able to say, okay, there's no polio in the world.
Phil and Joyce Ogden are on track to raise $40,000 from donations in their Raise for Rotary page. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has pledged to match that 2-for-1, making a total contribution of $120,000. Congratulations to Phil and Joyce. You are remarkable End Polio ambassadors.
We want everybody who possibly can to support this ride and help us end polio now. And to do that, you go through the Rotary Tasmania website page and you will find the link there. And so, yes, please, everybody who can, please contribute so we can end this disease.
And we've already had quite an avalanche of donations, and we just want to say thank you for everybody's generosity.
Thank you. Wasn't that wonderful? Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Warm greetings to you all. I am Sarita McLean, the Regional Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 8, which is Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands, and the moderator for today's session, The Power of Video to Tell Our Rotary Stories. On behalf of all of us present here in person or watching this online, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and all First Nations peoples. I acknowledge and honor Indigenous cultures, traditions, country, iwi, and nation, and pay my respects as appropriate to elders and leaders, kaumatua and kuia, past, present, and emerging. I'd like to briefly introduce the rest of the team. You can check their profile out in the Rotary app under speakers. So Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator, Roslyn Teirney, with her background in education and direct sales, Ros is well placed to promote our wonderful organization. Ross has served in several district roles and is currently a District International Service Facilitator. Adam Reibel is a freelance cinematographer and editor based in Hobart. He has more than a decade of experience filming news, current affairs, TV commercials, social media videos, and corporate productions within Tasmania for local, national, and international telecasters. And not forgetting Rotary Club of Casey President-elect Ben Plunkett, a filmmaker of Plunkett Media, who is the official YouTube live stream operator. Thank you, team. So our focus today is to inspire, motivate, show that we are people of action. We have a presentation at the end. We have allowed time for you to ask us questions, and you can also ask us questions in Portuguese. We have the technology available to answer your questions as well. So of course, one of our main objectives is to increase awareness and understanding of Rotary around the world. But how do we do that? How do we help the public see Rotary as we do? By highlighting the impact clubs and members are making in their local communities and presenting Rotary in a consistent and compelling way to those who don't know us. And while Rotary International has a small but mighty marketing team, the real power in promoting our organization is in our membership, you and I. Who understands the benefit of Rotary better than our members? Who can speak from experience? That is why our strategy lies on leveraging our over 40,000 clubs and over 1.4 million members to share their stories with the public. Our strategy is to use the People of Action campaign and messaging platform in public-facing communication. The public-facing part is important, as we are very, very good at sharing our stories amongst ourselves, but not so good at sharing them with those outside of Rotary. The approach is twofold. Invest in awareness building through paid media and PR in select markets and signature events. And because our budget cannot support a global advertising campaign, Rotary has an army of volunteers at the grassroots level. Our goal is to equip clubs with the tools and resources they need to build public image in their own communities. I'm proud of how well my team has achieved this goal in Zone 8. Working together, we have offered monthly training for the past 2 years, and you can access the resources we have developed on the Zone 8 YouTube channel, the Rotary Zone 8 YouTube channel. Throughout COVID, we used various ways of meeting and motivating our public image chairs and supporting them to tell our Rotary stories far and wide. We have been inspired by Rotary International President Jennifer Jones and our very own Zone 8 Rotary International Director, Jessie Harman, both of whom are superb Rotary storytellers. Stories help take your audience with you. From high-impact local projects and fundraisers to global efforts to end polio, Rotary has impressive stories to tell. Those stories can increase Rotary's impact and the public's understanding of who we are and what we do. The most effective way to present Rotary stories to prospective members or supporters who do not fully understand what we do in local communities is by using our People of Action messaging. This campaign aims to provide a simple, consistent message and rally Rotarians around a single idea, that we are people of action, professional, community, and civic leaders who share a passion for taking action to improve our communities. Make those 30 to 60-second videos and post them to social media. Keep it short to make the message clear. What's your point? What's your call to action? Practice posts that are based on the People of Action story structure and consistently repeat the pattern. You can increase effectiveness by tagging people, locations, events when you share and adding hashtags. But don't worry about the list of possibilities if this is your first go. Just get started. In the Rotary Code of Policies, there is a note about social media. This was added after a Rotary International Board meeting in January 2012. It reads, Rotary will increasingly use digital social strategies to increase Rotarians, the family of Rotary, and the general public. The tools we use to implement will be worthy of Rotarians' trust. We will encourage the use of these technologies consistent with the goals and the development of new technologies. So to conclude, harnessing the power of video is one of our powerful education strategies for engaging Rotarians and expanding our reach. By finding ways to work together to make videos about the impact of our Rotary service, we can expand our reach, engage our members, and show potential partners and donors that we are adapting to an exciting new future. If you have any comments on what I've mentioned to begin our session, please use the discussion tool in your convention app. I now invite Adam Reibel onto the lectern.
Thank you, Sarita. I also pay my respects to the local owners of the land we're on, but also the local owners of the Muanina people of Lutruwita, Tasmania, and Nipaluna, our home city of Tasmania, where Ros and I both live, but also put together our parts of the presentation. So I'm a Tasmanian-based freelance cinematographer and editor. According to Ros, I think I've made 10 Rotary films, including the film we showed with Villain Joyce Ogden, and that was a pretty good effort really to ride their bike, which is a 4-hour plane flight away in Perth to Adelaide, which is probably about a 6-hour drive away. So right across the vast expanse of Australia. And as a Tasmanian-based freelance cinematographer, they're the sort of stories that I get to do every day. And it's a really remarkable story and it deserves to be told. Something like that got national media attention and I think some international media attention through parts of Rotary. And using video, we were able to showcase what they were doing and to see the impressive effort that they'd made as well. So I sort of became a cinematographer, editor, cameraman, I think, as most people probably call us, following my father's footsteps and beginning my career at the TV station he was at. But I found inspiration as well from other great Tasmanian cinematographers. You might have heard of a couple of them. Damien Pera from the World War II in Kokoda, Neil Davis from his work in Vietnam in the early 80s and showing what was happening in the Vietnam War, who is also Roslyn's cousin, shows the connection of our little island state of Tasmania. And as well, someone who has become a good friend and colleague of mine, David Brulé, MACS. These three gentlemen are magnificent storytellers, and the power of what they have captured on camera through their lenses has gone on to change what's happened in conflicts around the world, and has brought many millions and millions of dollars of humanitarian aid and support. And that's just from people sitting at home, back in their day on TV screens, on the nightly news, to nowadays something that you can see in the palm of your hand. So that's how I sort of got started, that interest in news, current affairs, and I did my, a cadetship as a staff cameraman, cinematographer at the local Southern Cross News, which is the nightly news bulletin in Tasmania. I then went and worked for the Premier, Will Hodgman, if you're in America. He's sort of like the head of the government in our state of Tasmania, and participated I was there during the 2018 state election campaign, which was the first time since the 80s that a Tasmanian Liberal government got re-elected. As part of that, we pretty much had free rein on social media and using video to go out and promote the policies that Will Hodgman and his government had. And we did some things that were fairly innovative at the time. And I think in video, that's what you've got to do, especially in social media, to take the risks. I think we're the first election in Australia to use vertical videos. And now pretty much every politician, every business has a vertical video around 10 seconds in a story. And since 2019, I've been lucky enough to become a freelance cinematographer and editor, working all through Tasmania, right across Australia, and also into Asia as well, telling stories. If it's the nightly news, something for the nightly news, something for a current affairs program like 60 Minutes, a current affair, or the project here in Australia, working with them. So one of the main points I'd love to touch on today is branding. As a freelance cinematographer, I'm working with a lot of people who have businesses, and businesses are so proud of their brand. It's their identity. It's what binds them all together. And without a brand, or without their branding, they're sort of nothing. And it's really, really hard for them to go and promote what they do. And of course, it builds a lot of their trust. I'm sure everyone knows what the top one is, the top brand. I think you all know that's Coca-Cola. The bottom one, I know many Tasmanians and Australians, and if you've got a sweet tooth as well, it's Cadbury Dairy Milk. So we've got in Tasmania the Cadbury factory, the first chocolate factory in Australia. And trust me, it's literally like Willy Wonka's, and it's great to go out there. But those two brands, and of course you add in the Golden Arches as well, no matter where you are on the horizon of the outskirts of a town, you know you've got the the Golden Arches, the McDonald's if you need a bite to eat, or you're desperate for a coffee early one morning if you're on a drive, you know, they're close by. As freelance cinematographers and editors, we're used to working with style guides like what's on the Rotary guidelines. I must say they are one of the best, most simplest and easy to follow guidelines. You know exactly what colours, you know exactly what fonts, you know how to use the logos, you know how you don't use the logos, and as a professional as well, if you engage a professional wherever you are in this world, we work with these all day, every day. So we know how to use them, and sorry, Roslyn, sometimes when to break the rules. So yeah, this is what we do all day, every day. If we come to your business, if we come to film your action group, or if you engage us to make a video, any professional in the world this is pretty much what we do day in, day out. We have the skills to get it right the first time, because we don't want to waste your time by coming back and doing reshoots, like using headphones to listen to the audio if we're using wireless microphones. So we know that if someone walks down the street and they've got their radio transmitting something, if it's another television crew close by, we know that we can, we have to stop the interview, we have to stop the piece to camera and fix the problem pretty quickly. As well, we've got the gear, we've got the audio gear, the microphones, the lights, the cameras, the programs, the software programs, to give you a very professional look. Because we are conscious. This is the front door of your business. This is you showcasing what you do to a very wider audience. I've got a couple of photos here that I found, and in the article there, if you were to engage a professional and you're considering what the benefits are, these two pictures here are quite stark of what's the differences that we've got. On the left-hand side, you can see that's from a mobile phone. The right-hand side is obviously from a more professional SLR camera. There's a couple of differences there. One's a wide-angle lens, the other's using a lens. It's probably a 50mm lens. You can see that in the young tacker's face there. He's got the more zoomed in you are, the more wider the face is. And that gives people a nice sort of look. But also the iPhone and phones add a lot of sharpening as well. So it might look really good on the surface, but you can really see that there's a lot of artificial sharpening that's been implemented there. Add to that, the depth of field is on the left-hand side is very, very wide. You've got a lot of stuff in focus there. Add to that, the right-hand side, there's a shallow depth of field. So we're sort of looking at probably, for those, I know photography's taken off lately, f2.8, that probably is, you've got the black background blurred out, nice zoom lens. And the other thing that we've got there too in that image is emotion, and there's a story within that image as well on the right-hand side. There's one there, but it's a little bit more harder to define. So as professionals, we use most of the settings on manual to gain full control. We're used to using our cameras just like that. We hardly ever have it on autofocus because frankly, we just can't trust it. The cameras, I'm sure you've all probably here taken a photo with someone inside looking out a window into the view behind, and you end up with a silhouette shot, or you end up with basically the background overexposed, you can't see it. So our equipment can handle the light, we can get full control of it. As well, lens choice makes a big difference in storytelling and emotiveness. Further to that, we often work regularly with the local TV broadcasters, the local news, the online websites, your local newspaper. We can easily send vision, and if we know them as well, they often trust our professional quality and what we can deliver. So there's been quite a few times that I've filmed something for Ros in Tasmania of an event where the media can't get to. And I do that for other businesses as well. And we can then send it off to those TV stations. They know who we are. We know the people in their news exchange or the chief of staffs, and we can generally get it seen, or they might, if they don't use it in the news, they might put it in an update or put it online in social media. And as well, if we can't do something like we're not animators or we're not motion graphics or sound's not our key part, we can also work with our colleagues. So I'm going to hand over to Roslyn now, and if anyone would like to ask me anything, feel free at the end.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Sarita. But I really thank every single person who's come through the door and stayed. It means a lot to us. We respect you and we appreciate that you are already supporting Rotary's brand and marketing. Every educator and mentor wants to do themselves out of a job. And as Adam said, we've made 10 films together. This is the 10th. We're working on People of Influence for the training that'll be broadcast for Sarita on the 30th of July. So we look forward to seeing you again online. Having the opportunity to give back to Rotary through telling stories about clubs and individuals who really show mastery over our Rotary brand and our People of Action strategies has brought me some of the biggest rewards of my life, not just as a Rotary volunteer. So thank you, Rotary.
Tasmanian teenagers have set sail on a unique leadership adventure, taking to the seas for the next 10 days for the 14th Youth Leadership Challenge. Backed by Rotary and Windward Bound Trust, families gathered at Waterman's Dock to bid farewell to their sailors in training.
Second last day of the voyage, we hand the ship over to them for 24 hours to run. So they have to have learned something along the way. It's about sending them back as probably an awakened version of themselves.
I just thought it was such an amazing opportunity to, one, be on board and have such a unique experience, but also to be pairing up and mentoring newly arrived Tasmanians.
Young refugees who have newly migrated to the state are also on board, with the entire group set to undergo a test of true teamwork and leadership.
Incentives such as Rotary's Rider program in place to deliver hard-hitting information to young drivers.
The program is available to every Year 10 student. Sadly, a lot don't attend, and the government should make it a compulsory school day.
Promoting safe attitudes, a potentially life-saving tool.
There's 6 hours of very, very valuable training and people sharing their experiences, the police advising of the road rules.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Workers in our local tourism and viticulture sectors have an opportunity to cross the ditch later this year. Rotary is leading a professional development exchange to New Zealand's North Island in June. Those selected will stay with Rotary members and learn more about local industry and culture, with a Kiwi group to also visit Tasmania.
We'll be taking 4 in at the same time from New Zealand. So that's where we get this true exchange. And so they learn from us, we learn from them.
They build a good bond as a team, they build lifelong friendships in the country they visit as well, and it certainly has helped them professionally.
Applicants must be aged between 25 and 40, with the forms available on Rotary Tasmania's website. Entries close on February 28.
Making the videos I have had the opportunity to make as an RPIC hasn't just enabled me to show the impact Rotary has in our communities and to show us reaching out to the world, but it has had an impact on me, a profound and life-changing impact. In terms of participant engagement in Rotary, I have been right up on the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Through these opportunities of supporting the filmmaking for Rotary, I've been able to feel my best self, to feel truly useful, being in a position to show respect publicly to those with whom I'm connected in Rotary, and to be respected for my Rotary knowledge and expressing my creativity and communication skills. I say again, thank you, Rotary. And in particular, I'll mention our previous Zone 8 RPIC, as well as Sarita, Gina Growden, she was the first person to offer the opportunity for us to make videos in a big way for Zone 8. I've only been getting Rotary stories onto television news for about 15 months. Before that, I lacked experience, but also we had a Rotaractor who was a television journalist. So it just made sense that if we wanted a Rotary story publicised, we'd just feed them to Holly. But she moved on, and as I was the leader, I had to take a step in boldness to start to do something more. So I found that since making our own films and working so hard to find the money for what we wanted to do, it occurred to me, with just a little bit more boldness and starting to plan formal media events, we could turn over the responsibility for the cost to the news channels. So this is what we do now. I took a lot of training from Adam, and also I referred to our basics in branding, our Rotary values, and tried to apply them when I was dealing with the media. So if you go to the Rotary Brand Centre, you will drill down and see that not only do we have our colours there and our fonts, we also have our voice and visual guidelines. And these characteristics of Rotarians throughout the world have been distilled from surveys of Rotarians and of non-Rotarians. So these words, smart, compassionate, inspiring, and persevering, were distilled from all the surveys that the Communications Committee of Rotary did prior to the launch of the People of Action advertising campaign. So in my media alerts, when I communicate with the television channels, the radio stations, the newspapers, the magazines to whom I'm pitching, I always tell them Rotary's values. I always tell them what area of focus we're dealing with, and I give them information at the bottom of the media release about Rotary in general and where they can find out more information. When you are dealing with any partnership in Rotary, simply apply the four-way test. Think about the other person's needs. Make it easy for the media company to tell your story. Write it up clearly. Respect their time. Consider their needs and their decision drivers. Of course, all organisations have values and visions and corporate identities. It's not unique to Rotary. So in order to get win-win situations, be aware of the other entities' values and decision makers as well. These are the news values of one of our very popular commercial television stations in our state. Cultures all around the world vary, but I am confident that these news hot values would be relevant to television news decisions in your districts too. Okay, so you think you have a story? What do we do now? First of all, find some email addresses, ring up the receptionist of the business, find out who your key players are, and start calling them to action. Organising a successful media call means that you are venturing into a lot of uncertainties. You do your best to choose an opportune time and place, but if your Prime Minister comes to town, or there's a big wooden boat festival, or there's bad weather, then you're not necessarily going to be the story of the day. Nevertheless, press on. I have learned that you get results if you make a clear, confident pitch. Remind your talent of their role and responsibilities. Help them to do their job well and show them that you will back them 100%. When you do this, you are gradually building your own connections in the industry and building trust and interest in Rotary. If the media attends, will you be ready? Will you be on brand? Do you look like a team? Do you need banners? Make sure that the people who are going to be speaking to camera have 3 key messages that they know that they want to say, 3 points that they want to get across. Every Rotarian present needs to know why you are requesting coverage. Who is the spokesperson? Are there other speakers? When you're communicating with the people who come, keep it simple, concise, and professional. These are very, very busy people. What we do is, thanks to our guidance from Adam, is always communicate the day before we're going to hold a media event. We do it at 4:45. That just happens to be the business timing for things to slow down a little bit in the newsroom, perhaps, before they get very busy again before the broadcast. And then at 8:45 on the day, we send out it's called a media alert. So the day before, we call it a media advisory. And often you do pick up radio stories or breakfast session people who'll write to you the day before and tee up your connections then. But always, as soon as possible afterwards, I send thank you notes and photographs to everybody who's come. I make sure I meet them. I get their email addresses if they want to give me a card, or sometimes we just add friends on LinkedIn. But the important thing is I tell every journalist that I meet, if they ever have a slow news day, to come back to me, because I'll have another Rotary story for them at short notice. As I said, always try and make their job easier, because they are under pressure. And I also want to give you another slogan: have faith, but follow up. As we often say in Tasmania, the fortune is in the follow-up. Okay. Now, if you've got more than one person who's going to be having their present at the media event, then strive for diversity, because we need to live out our values that Rotary is a diverse organisation. But of course, you have to be authentic as well. And if you're announcing a program, then it's fair enough to have the leader of that program as the person doing the presentation. But whenever you can, embed genuine club or district activities into the presentation. If there's something that they can take vision of, Let them see the action rather than having a voice or a talking head. Real people, genuine emotions make for a really natural feel. With video, we can more easily expand our reach. Videos have a better chance of being shared and going viral compared with other types of content. By creating authentic and engaging videos or tipping off a news crew to do the same, Rotary can increase its reach and exposure to a larger audience, which can lead to more support and stronger partnerships. Videos have the power to create stronger emotional connections with the audience compared with text and images. By showing the impact of Rotary's work through videos, clubs can inspire audiences and motivate them to support Rotary's mission. Good things come to those who wait, but in a competitive world of sales and media, the best things come to those who believe in themselves and hustle. So don't be afraid of being a little bit of a pest. They will get to know you very quickly. Make every post a winner. As I said, you cannot be sure. It's quite nerve-wracking when you do hold a media event. You don't know whether anybody will turn up. So make every post a winner and always invite Rotary volunteers as well to add value to the occasion and make it worth the effort of your Rotary leaders who've given up their time to come and be your talent for the day. So always invite your district photographer or a club photographer, somebody who'll make the people who've done the work feel a little bit special, even if the crews can't come. And keep inviting, and always know that you're going to be able to build partnerships. This particular news media call was in a private gallery. We had a youth exchange person who 50 years after her youth exchange did a marvellous exhibition, and the gallery owner, as well as the district governor, as well as the former youth exchangee, made wonderful statements to camera that was very, very supportive. And even if you only get 30-second story, it has the word Rotary out in the wider community. Once trust is established, you don't need to do so much pitching. You don't need to be so worried. Even as I said, only working for 15 months in this area, I've found that the stations now come to me. This is Grace. She's a Channel 7 reporter, and at the start of this Rotary year, she did a story on the End Polio Now people you saw in the film. Then, just before Christmas, she did a story on the Tall Ship Windward Bound, which is a youth challenge that I engaged her for. In January, we had our first fatality in our state in a road accident. My phone pinged on a Sunday morning and I could see it was Grace. If I hadn't been bold and asked Grace for her mobile number, I wouldn't have known it was Grace on the other end of the phone, and I wouldn't have answered an unknown number. Grace called me because she had a sad story for the nightly news and she wanted to turn it positive. So she came to Rotary to talk about Rotary's Youth Driver Awareness Program in the same bulletin. That's trust. That's relationships. She was under pressure and she knew that because she'd met the people concerned, not just me, that she could call on me and I could get Marion organised and she could have a team to take that footage in time for the news. Another unexpected time the media came to me was when I had a call from Volunteering Tasmania. That's an umbrella organisation in our state which lobbies for charities and corporates that provide services and enables a channel by which you can thank your volunteers. I was asked to go to the studio to record a television advertisement, calling on the public to nominate people for volunteering awards. Why did they call on me? The only reason was because I regularly nominated people. They knew, because of all those nominations that I'd sent in, that I must be somebody who could help them find Rotary. They knew about Rotary because of the pictures that I had sent, and they asked me to wear my volunteer shirt. You can tell that Rotary offers very rewarding opportunities for volunteers. You can tell from this photograph how much we get out of the opportunity of working with professionals, even when we're very, very busy and it's very, very quick. Getting on the news is exciting and it's all over very quickly. People are busy, so be ready, be friendly, don't hang around, because if you're doing your job well, you'll see them again. So thank you for your attention. I'd please like to call back past District Governor Sarita. It's question time, if there is time for you to join in now. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ros and Adam. So getting Rotary on the news is very, very exciting and it's all over very quickly. People are busy, be friendly. If you're doing your job well, you'll see them again. Okay, so we have time for a few questions. If you have any questions, please do step up to the mic and we will do our absolute best to answer them. And if you've got any questions coming through on the app or on the radio through the interpretation, please do let us know as well. Okay, we have one question.
Someone brave enough to come down. You talk about briefing the speakers. I wondered, could you tell us a bit more about what that looks like? Do you have a template document? How do you get them ready to be in front of the camera?
I can do that one. I just did a media training session the other day in Hobart before I came. You basically, everyone needs to be on the same page. You need to know what your 3 key messages are that you want to get across. Basically, news is who, what, when, where, why, and how. So you've got to think of your 3 key messages. With Phil and Joyce Ogden, just off the top of my head, they would be, we're doing I think it was 3,000k bike ride. So it would be, the first key message is, we're doing a 3,000 kilometre bike ride across Australia from Perth to Adelaide to raise money for End Polio Now. The second will be, and you'd probably say add to that as well, for End Polio Now for Rotary. The second one would be something like, I'm guessing, End Polio Now is a terrible disease and we're so close to eradicating it, and we'd love you to donate your money. And then the third one would be something like, thank you to all the support of Rotary Tasmania to be able to end polio now. We'd love you. I guess keep hammering home that message. We'd love you to donate your money. Every donation will be matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Further to that, as long as everyone knows what they're talking about and everyone knows 3 key messages, then if you get tangled up, but the journo might ask you a curly question, you know where to come back to and how to get out of it.
Yes, so also I would say keep things very simple. So as the coach on the side, Will, I would be saying short sentences, please. No long explanations because we have to edit this. So we would often prompt people when we ask a question to include the question in their answers, because our voices will be edited out. But that's the basic. And also, if you are the public image professional, if you are a key volunteer in public image, then you will know Rotary's action plan. You will know the public image strategies, and you will be reiterating the values and the messages that Rotary wants to be told throughout the world. So you simply remind people to stick to the Rotary values, things that will apply to other people, and always finish with a call to action. There are many calls to action. It might be, tomorrow, Will Bassett is doing a public image presentation. So go to Will's breakout and learn more about online story writing. Okay, anybody else want to spruik their own projects? Come to the microphone.
Hi, I'm James. I'm from the Rotary Club of Warrnambool Central, about 3 hours from here. This is a little bit of a story that kind of leads to a question, if you don't mind, to give it context. But I'm a professional photographer and recently started making videos, and I've made quite a few for Rotary in Australia and India, which has been exciting. Short story about India, I wanted to make a promotional clip about a surgical camp that happens in a very, very remote area. And I wanted to make this clip because the Rotary Club spend 6 months of the year raising $60,000 US to run this surgical camp. It's a really important one. It's in an area where the infant child mortality death rate is the worst in the country. I thought if I could give them a clip, they could promote it and it'd save them time. People would support the project if they could just see what they were doing. So I made a clip which actually turned into a 30-minute documentary, but that's for another time. We sent the clip off for a preview to the Rotary Club, and they sat down with the Ministry of Forestry, who they work with. And the Ministry of Forestry said, "We knew you were busy down there, but we didn't know you were doing that." And from that meeting, they went and took the clip to the Minister of Forestry in India, and they pledged to fund the surgical camp ongoing forever, and what else do you need? And that has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in India, which is great. So not to brag about that, that's the impact of telling the story. You need to get the stories out there, and the Rotary Club of Nagpur have said, this funding coming to us is like winning the lottery. It's amazing. And they've now gone on to put, they don't have to fundraise for that anymore. Now they're putting solar panels and batteries into all the houses in the valley floor, and they're educating ECLs, which are teachers, to raise the children's education. So stories have impact, whether they're, like, I feel like we've had a really great presentation on how to engage news and media, and thank you so much for that information. The question is you really just very slightly touched on budget, because we know we've got the news agencies that can produce this stuff for us, and that's fantastic. But when it comes to budget in clubs to invest in storytelling, there is none. I've done so much of this off my own back, encouraged by the clubs, but not financially supported by the clubs. So what strategies are in place to help clubs understand the importance of the investment in projects like that? Because when you look at it, my club did give me $500 to help to go to India, pay for an airfare to go over. That $500 investment from my club has had an incredible impact on many communities in central India. So is there anything that comes down the line through the public image chairs that tells clubs the value of investing and paying the professionals with the right equipment? Adam, I'm sure you can relate to this. We have high costs and high overheads of these types of things, but the dollar value, the return for Rotary is enormous, and it's powerful, and that's why Adam's on stage today. So yeah, just wondering, what have we got in line for clubs to help encourage them?
I guess it starts from the district, and the districts need to budget for public image. And also clubs need to budget for public image as well. We just cannot leave it to chance. We just cannot leave it to the generosity of people like you and Adam to actually make this out of their own bed. So we do need to invest some money into public image, most definitely.
Further to that as well, there's, I think we can all see that we're starting to come into a bit of an economic downturn now. And the very first thing that gets cut generally is the marketing and advertising budget. And was, so being up here is a bit unusual for me. I'm normally up where Ben, Lance and Michael are, and their other colleague there. I'm sorry I didn't get your name. And basically I was watching this presentation one day. It was an advertising presentation. I was there filming it like Ben is today, and for IMAG, for the big screen for the people in the room. And this marketing executive, who he's based in Tasmania, but he works all around the world, he said something like people, the first thing they cut is their marketing and their advertising budget, and then they try and build it all the way back up again at the end. And if you keep going the way you're doing, I guess you maintain that that public image of your organisation, your business through it, and you come out a lot stronger through the other end as well.
And may I answer it as well? We included a slide near the beginning of the presentation during Sarita's part of our session, in which we gave you Rotary's policy. And the first part of Rotary's People of Action policy for marketing is paid marketing. That is the policy. Now, if you look at reasons why you must have advertising, there's one simple one, is that Rotary is ageing out. And therefore, we need to attract young people. And we need to have young people feeling comfortable and being featured. And if you make an opportunity, if you believe in the future of Rotary, then you must find somebody. If it's not you, you don't want to spruik yourself, you find who your public image advocate is. It doesn't have to be the district governor, but a person like me, I actually don't have a budget. I am just a very insistent person in the value of volunteering. And so I annoy Sarita, because Sarita has a budget for the purposes of developing our inspiration and our education. And Rotary International looks to what we do because of the quality that is produced, because it matches the branding, because we've got such a good team of people who are informed and people who are generous. There is no way that I am going to, you cannot employ somebody with professional skills without finding a budget for them. And therefore you need to negotiate. You need to talk. As I said, if you don't have a budget, then you've got to be gutsy and you've got to talk to the media and get them on board. So we included that. But you remember, we also, Sarita encouraged people to use people with a passion and degree of skill. And in this room, there are people that I know who do Facebook Lives with no training, but they are bold and committed, and they're doing the Facebook Lives in order to get the story out in the wide world. But those of us who are here who want to tell a powerful Rotary story that will last and that will spread throughout the world, if necessary, we need to put a budget for it. Now, if you are dealing with international service, as you are talking about, then you are potentially dealing with people who have global grants and programs of scale, and they have budgets. And you need to find out who is organising the global grant in your club in Warrnambool. I know that District 9820 is we're coming to Warrnambool for that conference next year. So there's always somebody you can talk to who can advise you, of a person who'll be sympathetic and who'll help you to find somebody. Now, there are, outside of Rotary, sources of funding. You must build a partnership if you have a local council. Then you talk to them and they will have a budget. So there is a school, schools have certain needs. Everybody will tell you they've got no budget, but drill down and there will be money to spend for certain purposes. And I have seen some marvellous films coming out of countries around the world. I'll give an example. Uganda. I'm just working with a young man who's supporting our district to do a global grant for suicide prevention in Kampala. He went to Uganda with his own money and paid $10,000 of his own money to make a film to explain the need, because the rules of the global grant say you must explain what the community situation is before you start. You need baseline data. So he made a film. I said, don't you do that again, because you shouldn't have started to use your own money. You come, you talk to people. Rotary is a huge bureaucracy. We've all got skills and experience, and we all got a wonderful connection with each other, and we can help. So you've got to believe in the power of Rotary.
Thank you for those responses. I guess what I was pushing towards more was that I'd really encourage clubs to set a marketing budget, because you're right, paid marketing is our policy. So yeah, if there's any clubs here, like my club now has a marketing budget. We put money aside, and I'd like to encourage other clubs to do the same.
Wonderful. So don't forget, you can continue the conversation through the app, and you can certainly continue the conversation with us, as we exit this building. Don't forget to evaluate this session, and as I've said, do not forget to connect with us on the app if you want to connect with us. So thank you so much for your attention and passion for our wonderful organization. Thank you to Ben, thank you to Adam, and thank you definitely, Ros, for all of your hard work. And before I finish off, I would like to congratulate Ralph and Ros Teirney on their 41st wedding anniversary today. May they have many, many, many happy years together. So thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of the convention. Kia ora. Thank you.
And Michael, sorry we didn't get to your question on the app. Come and find us.